Hi, everybody. Welcome. Starting at our next meeting, you're going to have a late pass if you come in after 10 o'clock. Now, I understand everybody's busy, and it's just good to see you here. Thank you for coming. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for a couple of minutes, we'll have a moment of silence to pray for whatever you would like to pray for, and there are certainly enough things to do at this point. Okay, thank you. I always keep my prayers short. I know that God has more of an attention span than I do. Would you please mute your cell phones and your Apple Watches so that we do not interrupt this presentation? Now, people are laughing. The reason they're laughing is that, how many months ago I said, mute everything, and I didn't mute my watch, and in the middle of the meeting, a phone call came through. Did everybody bring a pen today? Okay. You have your reminders of events that are coming up. I'm going to give you another one to add on to that because it's just happened after these were printed. Let's see, November, we're going to have Judge Patricia Thomas, and I hope we get a good crowd for that because don't we need information on due process? We do. In December, we've got a double header, folks. And I'm going to be getting the information on the website. You should know that I don't know much about websites. And I'm doing the website because nobody else could do the website. So every once in a while, I have to take a deep dive, something I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But I'm going to be adding this December event so that you can register, select your meal, and pay on the website. I should have had the prayer after that because then you could pray that I can do it. Put on your calendar November 5th at 7 p.m. We have been working with the Villages League of Women Voters, and we are going to have the Missoula Marwa Forum on Zoom. And that information will also be on the website, in the newsletter, whatever emails. By the way, am I sending you too many emails? Thank you. Okay. 7 p.m.
And most of them are correct.
Do I have to put up with this stuff?
They're tough crowds. We can be sending a link for the Zoom. Sure, you have to.
Yes. Yes.
Since the December meeting's at a different location, what time will it be? Will it be 10 still?
Peg?
The doors open at 9:30 for the luncheon. Our program begins promptly at 10. You'll get a beverage while you're waiting. And the program goes to 11 and then lunch is served. So we put in all these menus ahead of time and they're ready to roll at 11.
And if you're late, you get a spam sandwich.
Spam?
Didn't know it was still around, didn't you?
So we have that new Zoom. We have the Zoom with Jeff Kennard coming up. Is that on here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good. Okay.
next week. Yep.
And you need to register for these Zooms. One that we're going to have with the villages, we're going to have a maximum of 100 people. Wouldn't that be cool? 100 people on a Zoom?
Yeah, that would be cool.
And anybody else who wants to see it, it'll be available on the village's website, on our website, on YouTube, and everywhere else. We have our socials at the Cattle Dog Restaurant. The next one's going to be Wednesday, October 22nd. And we just kind of hang out. It's pretty cool, huh? For those of you who've been there, we have a little fun. My pen just exploded.
You need a pen?
That's just a sign for me to shut up. It was a cheap pen anyhow. Oops. I don't want to watch the news. I don't want to hear the news. But this quote has been coming in my head. And this morning I decided to look it up on the internet and see who said it because I didn't know who said it. It goes, some people make things happen. Some people watch things happen while others wonder what has happened. Doesn't that fit what's happening right now in this world? Does anybody know who said that? Because I did not know who said it. Good. I don't feel bad then. That was said by Eleanor Roosevelt. So I'm going to introduce our speaker now, who is absolutely someone who is worth waiting for.
Yes.
What happens to a high school graduate when he or she is told that they must now leave home? Where does a teen live where the parents are incarcerated? Who will support a student who has aged out of foster care? This is not a common everyday topic. However, it needs to be addressed as a problem and needs to be solved. And you're in the room with the right kind of people because we care about what's going on. Nichelle Mohre-Cassidy is the executive director of the YaYAS, the Youth and Young Adult Shelter, and she is our guest speaker, and we are going to be having a collection for her. I have my check here. Our lovely Peg has the box up there if you want to make a donation. I have to tell you, every day, and I'm sure it happens to all of you, I get like 10 emails or texts. Give me money. Give me $1. Give me $2. Give me $150. And you know what I do with them? Delete, 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 because I'm very careful about how I spend my money. I want it to be spent for something that really counts. And my parents were congenitally cheap. So, sorry, Mom and Dad, they'll get me for that. So I'm very careful with the way I spend my money, but
Thank you.
that's for the work that you're doing. And here she is. I will get my stuff out of here. Give me a second to get the Zoom set up. Thank you for coming,
Thank you.
Nichelle.
Tell me when you're ready.
Oh, that could be all day.
So while she's preparing, I do have to say, I want to open with an apology because you generously invited me to come and speak last spring and I missed it. And I am so, so sorry. And I kept telling her, this never has happened to me before. And I just beat myself up about it for weeks after. I felt terrible. So I am so incredibly sorry that I missed it the last time. And I'm so grateful that you were gracious enough to invite me again. But I did hear that your leadership stepped up at that meeting and gave the best meeting ever. So congratulations on that. But I am so grateful for the opportunity to speak to you today. And thank you for the wonderful introduction. So I am the executive director. My name is Nichelle Mohre-Cassidy. I am the executive director of YaYA's Youth and Young Adult Shelter of Citrus. And I am also the McKinney-Vento liaison for Citrus Schools. That's my day job. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the crossover of both. And I brought you some literature on both programs because YaYA's really stemmed from my work in the school district. We hit a point where I became very frustrated that we could not do more with the funds that we had. There are a lot of limitations on federal funding, as I'm sure you're aware of. And like the people in this room and on this Zoom, I get to work with people who want to make things happen. And so that's what we did. So we started a nonprofit to help bridge the gap in services between what the school district can provide to students experiencing homelessness and what we can't do, as well as those students who have graduated high school or who have left high school and still need that support while they're trying to launch their lives. So we began YaYAS. Maybe. Do I have to do anything special with it?
You have to smack it.
That's okay. Do you want to just hit the space bar for me? That should move it forward. Maybe.
The right hand arrow.
There we go. Okay, so as I said, we are poised to become Citrus County's only youth and young adult shelter. Now, we do not have a physical location yet. We are about 3 years in the making. We are still looking for properties or opportunities to partner with agencies or individuals who would like to provide us with a property. But that is our eventual goal, to be able to provide youths aged 16 to 24 with a safe and stable place to shower, study, store their stuff, as well as sleep. That is the number one need that we have for students that we cannot provide, is a safe and stable place for them to sleep at night, as well as connecting them with wraparound services from the many, many different partner organizations that we have in Citrus County, as well as like yours, so we can connect them so that they become engaged citizens in our county and in our world, because that is the next generation of voters, that is the next generation of consumers, that is the next generation of employees and homeowners, and that's what we need. So it is all of our responsibility to help raise them. So we do this as a way to both prevent the rise of youth homelessness, as well as to disrupt that cycle of homelessness and generational poverty that so many kids are already facing. So the problem already exists. We're just trying to help combat it in whatever ways that we can. So our mission, as I said, is to provide youth and young adults with that safe place to get their basic needs met, because we believe if we can provide that foundation of support, they'll be able to launch their lives in meaningful ways without that added stress and pressure and cost that comes along with just trying to find your basic everyday living situations. And our broader goal is to form those connections so that those youths feel supported now and stay supported and connected later, for all those reasons that I mentioned, right? That's our next group of people that are coming up who are going to be really worthwhile citizens in our area. We'd love for them to stay here, and we'd love for them to thrive. They're who makes us better. So a little bit of our history. Is anyone familiar with Teen Town Hall? You are? This is a program, a one-day program that Renee Teester of the Anti-Drug Coalition puts on every year. And she invites students from all of our area high schools to come to CF for the day. And they get about 100 people, and we put them into groups, and we ask them to address a common problem local to area teens and to come up with a solution. So we've had groups on substance use, we've had groups on mental health, we've had groups on violence in schools, and we've had groups on poverty and homelessness. And the first year that I facilitated this group in 2022, that group said, we should create a youth homeless shelter. And at that time I said, oh my gosh, that's huge, like there's no way. And then about a year later, I went, we could create a youth homeless shelter. So I formed a board. I have an amazing board of directors. And then in the past year, we have launched services. We've started fundraising, and we've begun providing direct to client services to students and young adults who are experiencing homelessness, even though we're still lacking a shelter. I have the most amazing board. Probably a lot of you are familiar with Shonda Burdette, who is the executive director of the Education Foundation. She has partnered with me both through my work in the school system as well as our board president, and I knew that having her on task was going to be pivotal. Victoria Thorpe, who now works with The Rock, which is a group out of Marion County that has started coming into our schools and creating pop-ups for kids to collect clothing for school, school supplies, toiletries, anything that they need. And they serve all of the kids, not just those experiencing homelessness. So that's helping destigmatize the work that we're doing too, because there are lots of kids that struggle. Ruben Warrior, who's my partner of Ward and Protection, Lindsay Morrow of Jesse's Place, and Sharon Washington with the Sheriff's Department. She's a victim advocate. And then I don't serve on the board officially, but I am the executive director, so I'm not a voting member. So a little bit about our why. Have any of you seen any of the articles we've had in the last couple of years in the Chronicle about youth homelessness in our school system?
Yep.
Would anybody like to venture a guess as to about how many students are qualified for the McKinney-Vento program every year in our district? 700? Anyone else? All right, you get the prize. You were closest. Last year, we identified 804 students, and 121 of them were age 16 and older and not in the physical custody of a legal guardian. So about half of that 121, that 804 is age pre-K through 12. The 121, about half of them are living pretty stably with a relative, but they don't have legal custody and they don't receive financial support from anyone in most cases. The rest of them are couch surfing. They're bouncing around from friend to friend or family member to family member. They're in their cars. They're in tents. They're in shelters, or they're on the street. They're everywhere and nowhere. And nobody is looking out for them. Okay? So in 22-23, that's when we started tracking that 16-year-old and up group of unaccompanieds. And you can see we've been pretty consistent in the last 3 years of what those numbers look like. Last year, we had a huge increase in the overall number because of the 2 hurricanes. We had 157 students who were identified just from the hurricanes and the tornadoes that would otherwise have been housed. Currently, in Citrus County, we do have a handful of shelters. CASA addresses issues for domestic violence, but you have to be 18 to go there. We have substance use shelters like the PAP, but you have to be 18 to go there, and you have to be suffering from a condition like substance use or some other addiction, and you have to be willing to dedicate yourself to their program entirely for at least 9 months. Now, they do a great job with what they're doing, but that would mean that a student trying to graduate would have to quit school to focus entirely on their program and work for them. And that's not really what our overarching goal is, right? We know that education is the cornerstone of success. We had Bridging Hope for veterans, and we have groups that help veterans find housing. And then in neighboring counties, we have YFA shelters and foster care. But for that, you have to be under 18 and you have to be part of the system, and there has to be an available bed. None of these serve students. So there is a huge need for both an emergency drop-in shelter and a transitional shelter for kids in that age range to finish out their education, go to college, start working, and launch their lives. Now, we picked all the way up to 24 because we know that your prefrontal cortex doesn't fully develop until you're 25. So even though they're 18 and they may have been taking care of themselves for a while and they can legally vote and join the military and drink, they're not really able and capable to make unguided decisions that are going to get them the best outcomes. And we want to be able to support them until they are ready. Also, let me say a word real quick about foster care. I get a lot of questions about, well, if they're 16 or 17 and they've been abandoned, why don't they just go into the system? There are a couple of barriers to that. One, Older teens often don't want to be part of the system. They don't want to be bounced around. So they may decline those services. But more importantly, the foster care system in this area is woefully under-resourced and understaffed. They simply do not have the capacity to take in those older teens. Now, if they are called and there is an issue, they will come out and investigate. But more times than not, what they do is they say to the kid, is there a friend you can stay with? Or a neighbor? Or a teacher at school? Or a coach? Or someone from your church? And if they can identify someone in the community to take this kid outside of the foster care system, they will just drop them off with them and hope for the best and provide the barest minimum of support. They get no financial compensation for taking in that child because they are not a registered foster home, and they have no guarantee that that family will keep that child. I have literally had a 15-year-old get picked up, taken to a family who was a neighbor. They stayed there for a few weeks, and then that family had an issue where DCF was called. And when DCF came out, they took that child and that family's own child, and they dropped them off at the younger child's friend's house. So this woman who took in her daughter's friend also got stuck with this 15-year-old boy that she didn't know and had no idea what to do with. Now that's a recipe for disaster, and that didn't last very long. The only support she got from the caseworker was once a week, that person would come out, the investigator would come out, take a picture of the children physically, and leave. Foster care is not equipped to help older teens in this area. There are only about a dozen foster care placements in the whole county anyway. And the one foster care directed shelter that exists, Covenant Children's Home, they only take elementary school kids. They're not set up for teens anymore. So there's just a very, very big lack of resources. Sometimes if we do get a CPI to pick up an older teen, what happens is Citrus County and Hernando County don't staff every day. They trade weeks. So 1 week Citrus County is on call at night, and 1 week Hernando County is on call at night. So often a child gets picked up, they get taken to another county, a bed can't be found, so they sleep in their case manager's office, then they get driven back the next day for school. And that happens with them getting bounced around county to county until they can find a bed in a group home or a shelter or somewhere else that's often not here where they get placed. So now their education has been disrupted because they have to change schools, as well as everything else that goes along with that. So our vision is to step in and offer an alternative to that to help support where the foster care system simply can't. So our goal, our dream, our vision is to have a resident-driven program in a central facility that is large enough for us to house at least 40 students at a time should we need to. I never want to have to tell a kid, I don't have a place for you. Try again tomorrow. I don't care if I have to put you on an air mattress in the living room or a couch or a tent in the backyard. At least I know you'll be somewhere safe with access to a bathroom, access to food, access to people who are looking out for you. And in the morning, we'll figure out the next step. But it needs to be resident driven. It needs to be someplace where 16 to 24-year-olds want to go. They're choosing to go. There will not be parameters that require them to stay for any length of time. We know all situations are different. Some kids might be leaving an emergency situation and just need a night to cool off. And then maybe tomorrow we can help facilitate a return to their home or to someone who is safe. Maybe we can put them in touch with resources and family therapy and ways to get them back into stability that don't require additional resources. Or maybe they need to make it to the end of the year. Maybe they got kicked out because they turned 18 and their family couldn't afford them anymore. I had a pair of students one year, an elementary school student and a high schooler, who were living in the back of a U-Haul truck in the woods. And mom was coming and going as she could, but she couldn't afford them both. So a neighbor took them in. And then eventually the older child was shuttled off to family in another state. That happens a lot. Kids turn 18 and whoever's taking care of them says, we can't keep you any longer. I am seeing a rise in kids who are adopted out of foster care, and then as soon as they turn 18 and those checks stop, the adopted family kicks them out. It is stunning. It is stunning to see and hear. And because they were adopted out of foster care, they do not qualify for extended care services through the foster care program. If they had remained in and aged out, they could get additional services until they were 21, but they don't qualify for that because they were adopted. Was that your question, Sam?
That was my
Yeah.
question, what about extended foster care?
Nope,
I
they don't
remember when all
qualify.
that happened and the young man that made it happen across the nation, yeah,
Mhm.
wow.
Yep. So we know that some kids may come to us at the end of their senior year and are getting kicked out at graduation, and they say, I really want to go to college. I really want to work. I need to save up for a car, but I don't have anywhere to stay. So we know they may be with us for a couple of years. Let's get them stable. Let's let them focus on school. Let's let them focus on saving and get them out into the world. I just had a really great meeting with Habitat for Humanity this morning, and I think there are a lot of opportunities for us to partner and build a pipeline to them for kids to be able to save up and then move right into home ownership at some point. I think that would be incredible. It's very important to me that kids have single rooms, whether they're in like absolutely single or a setup like this where there's a wall at the end of those beds and they're accessible by a door through either side to maximize space. But I think that kids deserve a sense of privacy, and in particular, kids who have experienced trauma, which almost all of them have. They really need that sense of security, that their stuff isn't going to be messed with, that they are not going to be messed with. They need to feel safe. And then communal facilities like bathrooms and kitchen and things like that, places for them to study and to relax and to receive services, or to have groups like yours come in and speak to them in large groups. We will be providing on-site therapy services, on-site case management. I want them to be able to be spoken to every day by a member of staff who knows that they are checking on them, making sure that they're okay. So some of our drop-in services that will be available both to residents and to kids who may come in and out, because we know you might have a kid who's been on their own for a while and they're living in their car and they're doing okay, and maybe they've had a bad experience with a shelter or the foster care system and they just don't feel comfortable living in a facility. But they can come in and get laundry done. They can drop in for meals. They can come and have therapy support. They can come and get health care, right? Langley can bring their dental bus and come on site and provide care to students. They can come in and just have somebody to talk to or get some guidance. So those would be available to all kids experiencing homelessness, even if they're not living with us. So let me tell you a little bit about our progress and what we are doing with the dollars that we have already collected in the last 3 years. Because I do want you to know that where your money is going and that it's going to kids and to people who need it. So nobody in our organization is taking a salary, at least not at this time. It'll probably be a couple more years before we have that kind of money. But in the last year, we've really ramped up our services. So through the McKinney-Vento program, I can cover a lot of the needs of those kids who are still in high school. But we've had a huge reduction in funding this year. And so we're relying more on community partnerships. And then now YaYAS is able to pick up for some of the items that we could afford before through McKinney-Vento that we no longer can. So for example, last year, I was able to purchase through the school system phones and phone plans, straight talk phones, to give to students who were on their own so that they would have a means to communicate with us, communicate with community resources, be able to get transportation. Well, this year I can't buy those. But if they're 16 and older and unaccompanied, YaYAS can buy that. So I can still provide that. So we've taken over the service plans for quite a few students that we were providing for last year through the school district. When we don't have another option, we will rent campsites in the state parks. It is the safest place I can think of. They are gated. They are monitored by either a camp host or a park ranger. My partner and I lived in a camper for 4 years, and we also worked with the Forestry Service, and we were camp hosts, so I'm very comfortable with the setups that we have going on here. They have showers there and toilets. The kids have access to water and electric, so they can charge their cell phones and their devices. And the sites are very affordable, but they have a 2-week limit. So every 2 weeks, we've got to move them, which gets really tricky. We also purchase camping gear, and then we go out and set them up. So my partner, who's on our board, Ruben, he is an avid thru hiker. He's hiked thousands of miles all over the country. So he helps me pick out the camping gear that we need that's going to keep them safe and dry. And then he goes with me. We set up their tent. We show them how to use the camp stove. I go to either one of the food banks like Daystar or Cub or Family Resource Center and get food for them. And there are some things you have to think about when you do that. A camp stove has to take something that has a high water content. So you can't just cook anything on it. So it's got to be something like a soup or a ravioli or water that you can boil for oatmeal. But that really limits your choices. Also, everything that we get has to be shelf stable because they don't have access to refrigeration. And mostly it needs to be single serve because once they open it, and then they're gone for the day at school, we don't want animals getting into their tent and eating their food and destroying it. So we try to help them pack it up as best as they can. So those are things we have to think of that normally a student wouldn't think to say, even if they did go to the grocery store to pick out food or to go to a food bank. So a big part of what we do is the advocacy, is guiding them through that service. We help provide groceries and meals. This year, once a month, through the school district, I take these unaccompanied students who need a Social Security card and we go to Ocala and get them. I take them to I do a little field trip and we go to the DMV to get their state IDs. We go to the health department to get their birth certificates if they don't have them. And usually that's an all-day event. So YaYAs will cover their lunch while we're out to make sure that because they're missing it at school, and that might be one of the only meals they get for the day. We have helped cover rent. Now, the more donors we get, obviously, the more we can do with this for putting kids into rented rooms. We've only done this once so far, and we partnered with the Education Foundation. But we had a student who turned 18 who was adopted out of the foster care system, and he got kicked out on his 18th birthday, the day before winter break started. Right before all the agencies are going to shut down on a weekend. No transportation, no essential documents, no savings, no transportation, no nothing. So we worked with him. We got him into a rented room at a community member's house, and we paid rent for 4 months between us and CCEF. We went out and took groceries and we got him his essential documents. Ruben and I did a little bit of mentoring. He taught him how to cook. We kind of just kept tabs on him really closely. And then we were able to facilitate getting him into another shelter program in Lake County, Forward Paths. So they are where we want to be in 10 years. They've got a tiny house community and they've got kids in apartments and kids in houses they own. And it's amazing what they do. So we were able to call them and say, hey, we've got this kid who really needs to finish school. Do you have a bed available? And they took him in and he was there for about a year. He did pretty well. I did hear from their executive director in August that he had left and she was concerned he'd gotten into a little bit of trouble. She said, can you reach out to him? And I tried calling him because we were still paying for his cell phone and I couldn't get in touch with him. And I thought, oh no, something terrible has happened. But you know, this is the coolest story. A couple weeks ago, he texted me and he said, I got in trouble, I got arrested, but when I got out, after I left the program, I reconnected with a brother in Ohio and my mother who I thought was dead. And they sent me a bus ticket and the next week I was in Ohio and now I am managing a Culver's and I'm doing really well. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Like you almost never get to hear stories like that. That was huge. That was absolutely huge. So I don't know where he would be if we hadn't been able to do that. And if we hadn't had another community member who over that winter break decided to take him in herself for a couple of months before we got him into housing. So it is a group effort. It is organizations and agencies and individuals and donors and everybody helping together to get kids what they need. So that was a success. We are working on car repairs with a couple of local places. We have one family. We have two families we're working with right now really intensely. And I think these stories are important. So I appreciate you being patient with me. We have two sibling groups. One is a 20-year-old who is caring for two teenage siblings. And last year, their mother, their aunt, and their grandfather all died in very quick succession. And they had all been living in the grandfather's house. Now, fortunately, before he passed, Grandpa put the house into the oldest grandchild's name. So they have a safe place, but it needs a ton of work. And they don't have a vehicle that runs. So we called Angels Automotive and said, hey, we've got this family. Could you look at the car? Because right now, all he can do is work part-time as a dishwasher someplace close enough that he can walk to. But if he had a reliable vehicle, he could get back into construction that he was doing before. So Angels looked at it. They said, we'll do something pro bono for you, or we'll work with you on the payment. They couldn't get, there was another problem. So they sent us to another agency and they said, call O'Reilly's Electric. I called them. They said, yep, have him bring it in. We'll see what we can do. So we're working on things like that. It doesn't sound like that car is going to make it, but a donor last week stepped up and said, I will give you $5,000 towards getting them a working vehicle. So that's our next step, will be to work with dealerships and start looking around and see what we can do with that money. Because right now they are all alone. They have just the oldest child's income from working part-time, and then a grandparent in Spring Hill helped them get death benefits and signed up for food stamps. But that's only going to last so long, and that only goes so far. They're paying a mortgage on their own. They're paying an electric bill. You know, they're paying for everything. So we're working really closely with them. And we work with the transit system. As soon as I get an application, I get kids signed up. They get a free Orange Line card. And then we pay for paratransit passes so that they can get door-to-door service, because oftentimes the Orange Line doesn't go where they need to go. So the paratransit bus will take them from school or to work, to medical appointments, anything like that. We're paying car insurance for another sibling group. We have a 21-year-old caring for a 19-year-old special needs sibling who's still in school as well. Another sad story. It's kind of incredible. Both parents passed away during COVID 2 weeks apart. And they were sent out of state to live with a grandparent who promptly kicked the oldest child out on their 18th birthday and then kicked the second child out on their 18th birthday. So this kid took in the sibling. He didn't have another option, and he was working, and he had rented them a place, and they were doing really well. They were holding it together, and then he lost his job. But he had saved up $2,500 to buy a little pop-up camper, and that's what they've been living in. So they were on someone's property, and then there was a breakdown in relationships, and they were told they had to move. And that's when we got involved. So we moved them to the state parks. We start moving them around. We're trying to find them someplace stable. He gets another job, and then his tags get stolen off of his car. And when he is on his way to the library to tell me what happened so I can help him, he gets pulled over by a cop. Just one thing after another, right? And that's the way it goes sometimes, and you just can't get yourself out of it. So luckily, the police officer was very nice. And we were able to work with him. We got him car insurance. We've paid 2 months now for him. We got him road ready again. So we got the car registered, got his license reinstated, paid the ticket. He's going to pay the other ones, and got his tag. So he is back on the road. He is working 2 jobs now. And Trails End Campground offered them a place to camp for free for 2 months while we work on stable housing. So they are in a safe place that we don't have to keep moving them. We don't have to pay for. They were very, very nice. So in the next 2 months, we are working on getting them connected with Mid-Florida Housing or Mid-Florida Homeless Coalition and Housing Services to see if we can get them into a more stable place. So that kind of direct outreach and advocacy is super important for kids. Because if you worked somewhere and a kid called you up and told you a sob story and asked for help, you might be like, okay, but you also might be like, I've heard this before. But when someone from an agency calls, that has a little bit more weight, right? And then you feel like the information's been verified and you're more likely to get help for that kid. So that's what a lot of what we do is based around, is making those calls and helping them navigate. For example, I can tell all of you that if you're experiencing homelessness, to contact Mid-Florida Homeless Coalition. And you might call and call and call and leave messages, because what you don't know is they get 500 voicemails a day and they don't have the ability to answer their phones. So what you need to know is that you have to go in person, or you go to Daystar and get assessed. But if you don't know that, you don't know what you don't know. And now you're running in circles, feeling unsupported, like nobody can help you. So that's a lot of what we do. How can you help? The quick and short answer is you can give us money. I know that sounds terrible. We need your dollars. It is going to cost us, we've looked at several facilities, several that already exist, several properties. It is going to cost us at least $1 million to buy a place that is large enough to do what we need to do and have people housed safely. It's going to cost us about $1.5 million a year to keep it running. Maintenance or mortgage and bills and feeding these kids and providing them with the essentials that they need. When we budgeted this, it was for up to 9 staff, and that was including therapists and case managers and on-site personnel, because obviously safety is going to be a major concern. This needs to be staffed 24/7 to keep everybody safe. And we would be planning to serve 50 plus residents, because as I said, they might drop in, they might stay longer. So far we have pursued some grants, mostly local, foundations, private donations. We've done a couple of small fundraisers, and we're seeking line item sponsors. So we've done a couple of fundraisers, but honestly, all of those services that I just mentioned, that's me. I'm doing them. So I need more people who can help plan fundraisers. That is an area that I do not have enough people and enough time to manage on my own. We had discussed doing a golf tournament. That is a very big monster. Or a tennis tournament. We've talked about doing galas, like all kinds of things. I need people to plan them and put them together. And then I can find the volunteers to staff it. But mostly we are seeking community partnerships with agencies like yours, or agencies who are willing to come on site once we are up and running and provide those outreach services, which we have a huge number of people who are willing to do that, which is amazing. We are looking for dedicated recurring funding streams, like grants that we can continue to apply for year after year, or line item sponsors, or you can become a YaYA yourself. So we picked that name because, one, it sounds destigmatizing, right? If you say you stayed at a shelter last night, everybody knows. But if you say, oh, I stayed at YaYa's, well, that kind of sounds like you stayed at your Greek grandmother's, right? So you can become a YaYA by helping us help kids with donations. And you can donate on a recurring basis, or you can donate one time. If you got $1 million, you can just hand it over this way, like it's fine. But no, that's honestly our biggest need right now. We have had a few people say that they are willing to donate a property or loan us a property, and that is a good start. If we had a couple of acres and a building that we could put kids in and feed them and keep them showered, that would be a good start. But essentially, we need something that's more of a facility. So that is our plan, and that's what we're working on. We do have a website, and we have our donor options on our website as well. The phone number that is on the back of your card and that's up here, that is my cell phone number. I give that number to students. I give it to parents. You can share that. You can absolutely let everybody know. I don't mind if they call me in the middle of the night, but all of that comes to me. We have a Facebook page as well. And what questions can I answer for you? Yes, ma'am.
Have you approached our Board of County Commissioners, and if so, what was their, what kind of feedback did you get from them?
So we have approached the county commission, not the commissioners directly, but the county commission, like the wider group, about whether or not there are buildings that are owned by the county that are being underutilized that we could have, like the old schoolhouse that went to Club Recovery. And I've been told that there are none. I have met with Holly Davis and Rebecca Bays a couple of times. We've gone on the bus trips with the chamber to see the Hope properties through Catholic Charities. So they have Pinellas Hope, Tampa Hope, and Pasco Hope. And they have an amazing situation going on down there. They have tent cities, they have tiny houses, they have camper shelters, and they've been doing it for a really long time. And we would like to bring a Citrus Hope here. Partnering with them is also on the table for us. At this time, the Catholic charity shelters do not serve unaccompanied youths, and they do not serve minors, except the one in Pasco that's a family shelter, but you have to be in a family unit. So if they are, we've been in talks with them, if they are willing to like adapt to our model or join with us, have us on the property, I don't care who does it. I just care that it gets done. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks so much, Nichelle. When CASA spoke with us, there was the same comment that federal funding has been very severely curtailed.
Mm-hmm.
So you're back to square one with how to, and I was just wondering specifically which funds were no longer available to you? Was it a grant from, let's say, restitution for crimes?
Got
Which
it.
one is?
That's a great question. So the McKinney-Vento Act was put into place in 1987, I believe, and it mandates that students experiencing homelessness have equal access to school and an education despite their homelessness status. So that means that we identify them, we ensure they have expedited enrollment, even if they lack the normal paperwork that we would require, like proof of residency or a birth certificate. And that we provide transportation as well as the basic items. So a large part of my job with the school district is ensuring that students have a bus from wherever they are in the county, even if they're out of zone. Their school of origin is protected. So every school district in the country is required to have a liaison who identifies students and provides those services. Not every district receives grant funding. So they are federal dollars, and we apply on a 3-year basis. And then the first 3 years I was here, we got like 80,000 the first year. Then the next year we got like 190, 100, something like that. And then the third year we got 176. My guess is that the unspent dollars are reallocated the second and third years within the state. This year, we expected to get a lot more. We got 76,000, and then they took $4,000 over the summer. So what we got doesn't even cover my salary. Title I pays part of my salary, and we have just a couple $1,000s to work with this year for all of our supports. Now, we did have a 3-year American Rescue Plan grant that came from COVID, the COVID response. That was $300,000. And with that money, we were able to stock up on a lot of stuff like toiletries and school supplies. We are set on those. Backpacks were good. We got some camping stuff, but that money will not be coming again. So like our clothing budget for this year, we've got $4,000 for the whole year. So is that
Yes.
your question? Okay. Who else? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that you primarily do fundraising. Have you applied for a grant from 101 Care in Pasco?
I have not. Do they fund out of county?
Oh, you're not in Pasco? I mean, no, Pasco. I'm just looking for citrus.
No, and that's a great idea. I will.
Okay, do you have a group in citrus? You know, I've been in so many counties.
I'm not sure. Do we
You're
have
trying.
100 women of citrus? Do we have a 100 women of citrus? I know they have one in Hernando.
Definitely.
I'm not sure.
Something
I'm not sure if it's through United Way. I don't think they're normally through United Way. They're like their own organization, right?
Your own organization.
And they just raise money and then they award it to
Yes,
nonprofits.
every quarter we give away $10,000 to a charity,
Okay.
and we usually have 50% matching funds, so the charity winds up getting, instead of $10,000, they wind up with $15,000.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And
The Citrus, United Way has It's United Way?
No,
No.
this is called Citrus United Way has I don't remember the name of it, but it's women.
Something
in the community
similar.
Donating money, but then
Women United.
Women United, and they, but I think they use that money for scholarships
Okay,
for people.
okay. Well, that's a great idea. I'll look into that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever seen the movie Homeless to Harvard?
No.
Oh my gosh, you gotta see it.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it
will.
was a few years back, but she was homeless. Her parents were drug addicts. And her story is so inspiring. Every homeless teen, I would put that movie in front of them.
That's a great
See what's
idea.
like. Homeless to Harvard.
Homeless to Harvard.
I actually heard her speak a few years after I watched the movie at a university.
That's
It's very touching.
amazing.
Yeah. it
Thank
really-
you.
It really was.
Thank you. I'll look into that. Yes,
On that
ma'am.
same note, there's an amazing book out there written by a young man. His name is Jimmy Wayne. I was in Nashville one night at the Grand Ole Opry, and before he sang a few, he talked a little about, not a lot of detail, but he walked halfway across America. He was speaking out for extended
Wow.
foster care. You've probably heard about it.
Wow.
Anyway, he had a book that was getting ready to come out. So I pre-ordered it. It came. It's called Walk to Beautiful. It's the most amazing story. I mean, it came, I couldn't put it down when it came that day. And I had the Citrus County Library order it, so it's in our
good.
system here. And it's a great life story. He was a homeless boy. Mama drove off with some guy at a bus station. I think he was 13, and everything that he went through, and he just climbed up and support. It mainly went after, I think it was 16 by then, an older family, 70-year-old couple took him. in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, Helped him
amazing.
go to junior.
Thank you for the
Oh,
recommendation.
Jimmy Wayne, and his music he had really big hits in the early 2000s.
All right,
He's
so,
like, yeah.
so
he's
Walk
really
the
good.
Beautiful and Homeless to
And
Harvard.
he's a motivational speaker now. He comes all over and
That's
does
so
that.
cool.
That's what he does now.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it's a great book.
And it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Talking, I don't know how far he's gotten about the movie, but it's a good story. Yeah, it really hit me.
There was something that you said in there that reminded me of something else, to do with CASA, and I'm not sure what it was that you said, but, we are partnering more with CASA now than we have in the past. I've always had a good partnership with them through the school district because they will let me know when they have school children come in who are going to need busing and things like that. But this school year, we've actually been able to get 2 of our students who were over 18 into shelter there when they needed it. So that was incredible.
Also, the Trails End campground that's allowing them to come live in the camper. You talked about the young man, but he has a sibling, right? A
Mhm.
sister, and how old is she?
She's 19.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because they could probably use help too. There's
Mm-hmm.
several people I know live out Trails End, so maybe.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
okay.
We're working on getting them back on their feet. Any other questions or recommendations? Yes.
Yes, just wondering how you approach medical care for that age group.
Mhm.
Just curious because I know they need vaccines, they need
Yep.
healthcare.
So that is a really good question, and that ends up being a little bit tricky for us. So the year that we were required by DOE to start tracking our 16 and older students who are unaccompanied, we call those certified unaccompanied homeless youths. They provided us with a DCF paper that we can give to the student. It's a form that we fill out. And that statute that was put into place that year gives them some additional protections. So if they're over 16 and they're alone, they can sign for their own medical care and treatment without a parent's signature. Doesn't pay for it, but they can make their own appointments and go. And they can get they're entitled to a free state ID. They're entitled to a free copy of their birth certificate if they were born in Florida. And they also get to file for emancipation for free if they choose to. And then they can apply for the Keys to Independence program, which gives them access to a free driver's license, drive time with an instructor, their permit, and 6 months of free car insurance. So the medical part of it for 16 and 17-year-olds, that's how we get around that if they don't have a guardian to sign for them. We have had very hit or miss luck signing them up for Medicaid if they don't already have it. So a lot of times they are denied because Medicaid will say, well, you're living with somebody, so you're part of that household, or that household's income is too high. But they're really not part of that household. They're just couch surfing there, and so they should qualify, but oftentimes they don't. So that makes it a little bit tricky, but that paperwork does allow them to take it. And I do have like some 15-year-olds who are unaccompanied, but they're not able to have that paper yet. In those cases, or where like a grandparent or a relative has the children in their physical custody, but is not their legal guardian and can't take them for appointments and things, I'll do that advocacy piece. So I'll call like Langley and explain the situation. I'll write a letter on school letterhead and I'll, say, please allow them to be seen, like, please accept this. They can choose whether or not to, but sometimes they do. We were able to work with like hospice to get grief counseling services for a 15-year-old. We were able to get them into Langley. The health department works with us really, really well. They're very helpful on getting us what we need. Yeah.
Under the roof of the health department, there is the doctor's free clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And most people think that that's part of the health department,
Oh.
but it is not.
Oh.
And they're volunteer physicians, and they're able to help get things like x-rays outside of the norm. So I know you and I would be.
I didn't know that. Thank you. That'd be great.
Resource Center.
They have a free clinic. Yep.
RJ.
Yep.
Just remember, what is this month now? We're in October now?
Yeah.
Okay, December is coming, and even homeless children want to think that there is a Santa Claus, because I still believe in Santa Claus.
Yep.
And so they are excellent at making sure your child gets 4 or 5.
Oh, more than that. They do clothing, pajamas, shoes, and then gifts. Yeah. Yeah. We run a lot of them through the schools, through the social workers for that. Yes, they do. They have a free clinic. That one's a little bit harder for us to get kids to because it's so far out there, but a lot of times I will refer them to Langley because they do the sliding scale, and they know that these kids are no income. But yes, thank you.
Just make a suggestion for the school system.
Absolutely.
With Chandra Burnett, have her touch base with Deb Stanley.
Okay.
She's in charge of our special programs. We have over 100 certifications in all of our classes.
Wow.
We certify them in all the computer things that we have academies in every one of our schools. Our construction academy at Citrus High School.
Wow.
The builders are hiring those kids and they're going CD. And Craig Stevens hired 2 EMTs right out of high school.
Wow.
That graduated from our EMT program there.
That's great.
Well, the health academy, the CNN license, and they can go to any, and they've got a job right away.
That's
So
fantastic.
the school system, if I know they're traumatized, I had homeless kids. I taught high school at Crystal River for 28 years, and I had homeless kids. But the school system, if you can keep them in school
Mm-hmm.
and in these special programs that Deb Stanley handles and
Yeah.
all these certifications, that gives them the hope.
And if they are identified as McKinney-Vento their senior year, they get a tuition waiver now. They get to go to college for free at any state or trade school in Florida.
Yeah, Patrick Simon takes care.
Yes, we work very closely together. And if they are McKinney-Vento and unaccompanied their senior year, they get to file for the FAFSA without any parent's income information or signature, which entitles them to the full Pell Grant. So imagine if we give them some financial literacy and we provide their basic living costs, that's $8,000 a year. They could graduate college with $36,000 saved. That's a down payment on a house.
Well, we could cut that in half. They take advantage of dual enrollment.
That's true.
Because if they're in our high schools and they're dual enrolled at CF, you know who pays for their books and tuition? Citrus County School System,
Mm-hmm.
because they're still our students. So they, in fact, last spring, 21/7, 28/6, almost 40 kids got their AA degree from CF before we
That's
gave them a high school
incredible.
diploma, and we paid for it.
That's incredible. Yeah, there's a lot of good
So
resources.
there's a lot of hope as long as you keep
Mhm.
them in school.
Yep.
And wasn't that program being jeopardized by the legislature if they want to do away with it?
Oh, yeah. Every one of our programs is jeopardized by the state.
Mhm.
I don't know what they've got against public schools, but it's
I have
We
a
also
student
have
right now that we're
conference
working
meeting.
with who is dual enrolled and was living in her car.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a big piece of that is opening that door and letting them know
Mm-hmm.
that this is out there.
Right.
Available, you can do this. They don't,
Right.
you know, they don't understand. So a lot of what you're doing helps open up those doors.
So I go to each of the three high schools, the three main high schools, once a week. So I hit every school once a month. And I meet with I try to prioritize our seniors and our unaccompanied students. We talk about their grades, we talk about their options, I give them their paperwork, I explain what it means and kind of try to teach them how to do that. Find out if they need assistance with their essential documents so that I can get them on the field trip list for Ocala, and then work very, very closely with Patrick Simon and his group. And we go back and forth with referrals constantly. He'll tell me, hey, my volunteers were sitting with this kid and while they were filling out their application, they mentioned this. I think they qualify for McKinney-Vento. So we get identifications from other agencies, from people in the community. Literally this morning, right before I came here, I said I was having a meeting with someone from Habitat, and she mentioned she is housing a like 20-year-old youth who is couch surfing. And I said, oh my gosh, get them connected with our services. She said, oh, I have a friend who's housing 2 teenagers that are still in school. I said, oh my gosh, have them call me. I need to make sure that we're providing support, because we'll provide clothing for schools, school supplies, toiletries. We'll pay for cap and gown. Well, now Shonda's paying for cap and gown because we don't have the money for it. But every year we pay for the cap and gown for all the seniors who.
Had a whole closet full of donated.
That's a good point.
Anything that can't afford it.
Yeah.
We'll get them a gown.
Yeah. But we appreciate all of the
And
community
there's
support.
a Rock has the closet over at Renaissance. It's absolutely fabulous.
Yep, they've got one at LMS and they're doing a homecoming pop-up at LHS, I think. Yeah, really cool. So there's a lot of great resources out there, but you got to know what they are.
Yeah.
Right.
And the nice thing is, well, you mentioned Daystar, and I went to, not before this project for a little bit. I said, had recurring families. They were families, but taking money and food and stuff like that. And I suggested, well, why can't you give them a scholarship to the and get them a job instead of just giving them money? And they started doing that too.
Yeah. And we are partnering with Housing Services, the school district, and CCEF. We are partnering with Housing Services to apply for a federal grant. It's a pass-through grant from HUD that if we get it, it will specifically serve families who are McKinney-Vento. So families who have school children in our district who are experiencing homelessness, it'll be worth $500,000, and we will have 2 years to provide them with housing support. So that might mean a family who is working but had some catastrophic illness, right? Fell behind on rent, got evicted, now they can't find something else. We can help them get into housing, pay their moving costs, right? And then they might be fine. Or we might have a family who is struggling a little bit more. We get them in and we can provide 2 years of rent, and then they take over after that. So it's meant to help up to 24 families, but we might be able to help way more than that. And the ones we're looking for are not those that are systemically homeless. They are the ones who are in the ALICE population, right? One tragedy away from homelessness, one missed paycheck away from homelessness, who have something has happened, and this is like the first time, and they just can't get back on their feet. So yeah, we're very excited about that. We hope we get the grant. And we have a good shot. Citrus County is number 2 in the state for unemployment. So, and we're rural, right? So, well, in this case, it's good. That improves our chances. Number 2 in the state. Yes, ma'am.
So this is the time of year that people that have to take RMDs.
I don't
hire them institutions.
Okay. Right. Right.
And so I'm so happy that I came today.
And he has $1 million that he has to get rid of.
They need a physical address to mail the check. We don't do it, the company does it.
Okay.
And
So we have 2 options. If they can use a P.O. box, we do have a P.O. box in Lecanto, or they can mail it to the Education Foundation. Shonda has us as a pass-through line item, and so you can mail it to them, and then they will put it in an account for us. So if it needs to be physical. I will have to add that. That's a good point. I can get that up, or if you email or text me, I will give you that address. I'll give you that information. I know our PO box is on, and the PO box is also on those little flyers. But yes, we can also have them accept for us.
She just gave me a really good idea.
Oh,
You
yeah.
may want to stop and visit some of the financial planners around the county.
Oh, that's a
and
good
leave your
idea.
information. And yes.
That's a good idea.
And know that when they're people that they're planning for need
Yeah.
to do an RMD, that this is a local place and they can see where their money's going.
Mhm.
That's important to
Yeah,
the people who are donating. They want to know it's not just going to some highly paid CEO.
right,
So, yeah.
right.
Or even
Thank
at the end of the year, a lot of people, the old people, there's a certain
Mhm.
amount of money, they just want to
Yeah.
donate, so.
And we are a 501c3, so it is tax deductible. Yeah. Yes,
That's what I was double checking with you.
Yeah.
And is that on the website?
it is.
And how about Education Foundation? Is it 501?
Oh, yes, they are.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys have great ideas. Thank you so much. I've got great ideas. I'm going to give this back to you. I think I've talked long enough. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for checking out.
I love it when I say something and I'm right. Didn't I say that she was worth waiting for?
Yeah.
This is very exciting. You already answered my question about having people that can contribute on a regular basis. This is the website I told you about, the Gina Davis website, Institute for Gender Equality. If you don't know about that website, get on it because it's going to tell you all the good things that are happening to help gender equality, to help gay people, to help any kind of a minority. They've been working on that for a long time. And I want you to have this.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I need to pick that up.
a little gift from us.
Oh, thank you.
Wasn't this great?
Yeah.
Give her another round of applause.
Love that. That's so sweet. It says, may you be proud of the work you do and the person you are. That's sweet.
When BJ says it, you do it.
That was good, Vicki. I'm gonna remember that. Is the recording still going?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Thurman, that was for you. Okay. I want to see that movie too. Wow. I don't know about you, but I found that very moving. You know, I was a guardian ad litem for 18 years, and I see what happens to families when they get in trouble, and I wonder, how do they ever get back? And this is a good way on a local basis. See, I think even my parents might give money for that. They were alive. Do we have any board members besides BJ that have announcements? Come on up.
Thank everyone who was able to sign the petitions. Thank you
Yes.
very much. I do appreciate it.
Okay. Hey,
It's quick.
Thank you.
I know October 18th is very busy.
come on up. Don't be shy.
Not shy.
I don't bite.
I'm hoarse, but anyhow.
You know, October, is this on?
Yeah.
Yes.
October 18th, I know there are other things going on, but there's also a fundraiser for CASA. It's a walk. It's, I believe, 10 till 1 at the Lecanto. It's in the paper already.
The community park.
Community park. You can bring your dog, your kids, your grandkids. It's again, to support CASA in the face of really substantial loss of federal funding for the programs there. And especially because it's growing and there are more things that the staff and RAIN are trying to add to services so people really have proper care. And one of them is sexual assault services, which doesn't exist in Citrus, and something they really need to put together, so.
It doesn't.
Hmm?
It does not exist.
There isn't a centralized program for evaluation and support and follow-up. Not yet. Thank you.
Thank you. See, I wanted you on the video for that so everybody can see it. Now, yes, you're next. While I'm thinking of this, because, you know, I'm old and it'll slip my mind. It might be slipping right now. Wait a second. Jane Goodall, who we lost very recently, said that we're in dark times, and yes, we are. And we need hope. And that's what today has been all about hope and helping people that need it. Maxine, our Natural Resources Chair.
Thank you, Vicky. Just suggest that, I know that's supposed to be a microphone, but it's really hard. And I'm
You have to be really close to it.
And I can
You
hear,
have
no,
to-
but I think you still have to talk loud. Because I can hear you very well. And I don't know if
You couldn't hear me?
Well, yeah, it's up.
Okay.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, now close down.
Take it out.
Yeah,
Right.
right there, close.
Yeah, you have to almost eat the thing in order
to.
I worry about the germs, you know. I don't like germs. Oh, my God. All right. Just a couple quick announcements. Anyone who reads the Chronicle probably knows this stuff already. The citrus fertilizer ordinance passed by the BOCC. Finally, after over a year of hard work from, partners in the community, Sierra Club, Michael McGrath, Florida Springs Council, Ryan Smart,
Sir. Low, sir.
lots of, is it on?
Louder.
Is it on?
No, you just turned it off.
Is it on?
Yes.
I do not like this microphone. I think if I yelled, you'd hear me better. Okay. So, what I want to tell you is, so that's the first step in our Sierra Club group, Sierra Adventure Coast, which covers Citrus and Hernando counties. We're now going to be working with the county staff on an education campaign and signage. So the same similar fertilizer ordinance already passed in Hernando County, and Sierra Adventure Coast was working hard on that. And they did this already with the campaign and signage in Hernando County. So we offered that to Citrus. So we'll be partnering with them, which is a really nice feeling. So we have a meeting with them on October 30 to start that process. So I'm really excited about that, because it wasn't like we got it passed, oh, thank you, and we walk away. No, we're trying to help educate the community about it and also get the signage in the stores so people know what to buy if they're doing their own lawns, depending on the time of year. So Florida Department of Environmental Protection sent us some figures which said that by passing this fertilizer ordinance, we prevent 147,000 pounds of nitrates going into our waterways per year. So if you think it wasn't a problem, those statistics don't lie, and they came from FDEP. So thank you for the community support, because that really helped as well. So now another thing we're going to start working on is the rainy season bans for Crystal River and for Inverness. And we've already met with Crystal River, so we've kind of broken the ice with them. So I'm looking forward to working on that with Sierra Club too. And again, it's a team effort, and we get the community involved. So it's not like one person. And also with the citrus fertilizer ordinance, Ryan Smart from Florida Springs Council said it was the most comprehensive, if it was one of the most comprehensive, if not the most comprehensive fertilizer ordinance in the state of Florida. So, yes. So that's what you get when people work together.
we able to pass that with the state's ban on, local control? How did that not?
They didn't ask.
The bill
They don't
that,
have it anymore.
Yeah,
prevents,
that's to
local
do with,
governments from passing ordinances that are stricter than state. How did we manage to get?
no, you're talking about SB 180, I think, and that's
Yes.
like comprehensive planning.
Right, I can't, what?
Yeah, you're talking, I think you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, SB 180.
Yeah.
And that had that, it's like a Trojan horse. It had that clauses in there that stops our local communities from making comprehensive plan changes. So this is different. This is
I
not,
think that was more zoning and permitting.
More zoning.
yeah,
rather than
this,
Having to do with, let's say,
Yeah.
public safety or something.
yeah, this doesn't fall into that category, I guess is what my answer would be to, a good question though. And thank you for asking it. Legislative delegation meetings, if anyone wants to, talk to their legislative delegation in Citrus, they're gonna be on Halloween, October 31st from 9 to noon at the Citrus Courthouse. So we do have Sierra Club speaking. I won't be speaking for them. Our chair, Devon Corolla, will. And I'm not sure, I have to talk with Peg and Rosemary about our, speaking for the league, because we only get 3 minutes, so we'll talk about that. I'm not sure if I'll be speaking this year. I'll do what's best, whatever's best for the order. Is that what they say? Whatever's best for the order. And the Saving the Chaz campground, if you didn't follow it in the Chronicle, a 40-year lease was signed by the Citrus BOCC and SwiftMud to keep it operating. So a lot of people worked on that. I did not, but I did get up when it came before the BOCC and I spoke in favor of it. But there were 4 delightful tour guides, young ladies who drove miles to come to that meeting and speak for it, and it did pass. And then after that, SwiftMud signed their end of the lease, so it's a go. And that campground's going to keep working. It's been there for years. A lot of people love it. Paradise RV Park, if you've been reading about that in the Chronicle, it's on the with the Coochie River. It's an outstanding Florida waterway, very ecologically sensitive, and it'll come before the BOCC on November 4 at 5:01 p.m. It was rejected by the Planning and Zoning unanimously because it's such an environmentally sensitive area. It's not a good place for septic tanks or any kind of package plants, believe me. All that stuff's going to end up in the river. Citrus Sand Mine, this Thursday, on November 9th, from 5:30 to 7:30 over at the Lecanto Government Building. FDOT is having an open house, so anybody who wants to come, talk with them, and ask questions is welcome to come. So I'll be going with another Sierra colleague. It was declined by the Planning and Zoning special master hearing. When you have a sand mine, you have to have a special master hearing. It's not like the regular Planning and Zoning Committee. You're nodding. Yes. Okay. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't forget, after we leave here, a bunch of us, however many wants to come, we're going to meet at Los Magueyas on 44 and have some lunch. Any other board members besides BJ? Okay. I want you to know that I was at the night out,
Teen night out,
no, the night out,
national.
national night out with the sheriff's department yesterday. By the way, nobody ever accused me of speaking low. Thank you. Just like nobody ever accused me of driving too slow when I took my test for the sheriff department. They will let me put my pedal to the metal, I'll do it. Anyhow, they were giving out Narcan.
Good.
You should know that.
And they should.
And so now, saving the best for last. Here she is, our very own Dr. BJ Azell.
My goodness. Thank you, Madam President. It's good to see everyone here. Keep coming. Keep coming. I know we had a new member, and I think the last name is Scott. And
Jack
are you, that's you. I just wanted to see your face and look in your eyes and just welcome you, and we're so happy to have you.
just want to tell you about two things this morning. One of them has to do with the COVID vaccine because there is so much misinformation out there. So I've been dropping into CVS or Walgreens. I think they're going to have a mugshot of me on the wall. So this morning I said I'd call, and I did. And Bev, you were walking in with me when they answered. I said, "Do you have the latest COVID vaccine?" The answer is yes, they do. I said, "Do I need a prescription?" And my husband is 74 and I'm 75. He loves to say I robbed the cradle. I'll take whatever he says as long as he stays. You do not need a prescription. But I'll tell you what, I don't like going back and forth. So I'll just call my doctor's office and ask her to write me one, just in case they couldn't remember who they talked with. But you don't need a prescription to get the latest COVID. Give me a moment. Sure. In doing so, I also asked what other qualifiers are there for people that are under age 65. And they said, of course, any chronic illness makes you qualified. And they also have some things that you wouldn't even think about, like are you caring for a family member that is over the age of X and you're concerned about being at risk as well. So just go and be polite, but remember, it's your health coverage, it's not theirs, and you deserve it. If you want to get a COVID vaccine, please do. And as my pastor tells me, every Sunday he still allows me for 5 years now to stand in his pulpit and just give updates on health care. And I was saying this to a group, and my church in Orlando is in a very impoverished area. And they don't get information unless they get it from someone who is willing to just do it every week. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. That was number one. And did you have something to add?
What I was gonna
See,
say.
I anticipated. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Gail Costello. My husband and I both had the COVID vaccine yesterday. I'm happy to report there was no issues whatsoever. They did not ask for prescription because we went to Walgreens. And it's a smaller dose than previously, which is interesting.
Mhm.
But apparently, we asked the pharmacist specifically, and he said he's not hearing anything about bad reactions or.
Excellent. And where did you go?
Walgreens Crystal River.
Crystal River. Okay, I called the Hernando one that's up near the emergency, freestanding emergency room. Yes.
I just want to say, I think I'm the first person in the county that got the vaccination. I went to Brashears in Inverness, and I always have a reaction, so I did this time too, again.
Good.
But I'm glad I got it.
Good. And it gets better because they have more information and using that information to create a better vaccine is what they do. Just remember that you think back to the crisis back in 2020 and it was like, it was wild, but we made it through. Some people didn't make it. I have a brother-in-law who did not make it because he refused to be vaccinated and he contracted COVID and he passed away. The second topic has to do with breast cancer awareness, and I'm happy to see a male in the audience because it isn't just women who
It's your time.
can, it isn't just women who can develop breast cancer. It can be male as well. So I was looking to see if the health department was offering any screenings for breast cancer, and they are. Also, there are entities that can provide free mammograms. If you call the health department, they can direct you, and it's on their website as well. The CDC has a breast cancer screening program as well. And I think everyone might know the name Susan G. Komen for the cure. Yes. So that is another resource. There are all kinds of resources out there. You have to be willing to look and grab them because you deserve them. And what I say is, I'm now retired now for 5 years. I want everything that's coming to me. And if it's free, all the better, because we worked all these years to have it. There is some concern about how breast cancer awareness, and it is an international month of events, how it's portrayed. We need to be able to be adults and cut through the chatter. And just because something is pink and it looks happy-go-lucky and skip through the tulips and all of that, breast cancer awareness is very serious. And having your own breast exams, getting a breast buddy, and doing those exams, I actually called my GYN doctor, my gynecologist, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm so sick of getting these things and getting these things mashed up and all that. I said, you know, can I just not have another one? And he said, one more, BJ, one more. I said, and then I'm done? He said, yes, unless you are able to determine something. So it's been every year or every 2 years. Seems like forever. I wish I had all the money that went into that.
Because of your age?
Yes, because of age. Yes. However, it depends on your personal medical history. And this is what I do. Every time I come across some medical issue within my family, we have a group chat, and they know that I'm coming with the information. So when one of my sisters was diagnosed with a nodule on her kidney, I let everybody know, go get yourself examined. That's your next checkup. When I had severe cramps of my legs, and so bad one time I had to go to the emergency room, and even the emergency room doctor said, oh, just take vinegar and calcium because I have it too. I'm thinking to myself, that's not good enough. I collaborated with a health service friend of mine, and she said, try magnesium. And I said, magnesium? I said, okay, but be very careful about over-the-counter anything, because most of them are not regulated by the FDA. So although you may be getting a vitamin or a mineral, you don't know what preservative was put in it. You don't know when it comes from, I'm going to say abroad rather than naming a particular country. You don't know if those ingredients were shipped to some place like Mexico to be assembled, and they've got rats and roaches and all other kinds of things running around in those buildings. So be very careful of the over-the-counter things that you put into your body that you're supposed to protect.
Also, the kind of magnesium matters. So there are several different types of magnesium.
You're making me go there. Okay, thank you.
Say though,
I'll give you that dollar. I'll give you that dollar afterwards.
I will also say that Amazon has a fantastic magnesium spray that is very good for muscle cramps and pain, and it's only like $10.
Thank you.
That's external.
I went to my primary care physician first because I wanted to know what my level was at the time. And she said, and she shook her finger at me, and she said, and you will come back in 6 months so it can be checked again, because you do not want to be out of the normal range. We tend to want to just self-medicate. We hear something and we just go for it. And you're not thinking about how it's impacting and depleting other minerals and vitamins in your body. So after 6 months, I went back. And by the way, within a few days of starting magnesium oxide, because I couldn't get the citrate right away, no more, I want you to hear me, no more cramps. But I beg you, don't just start taking something and you have no information as to what it means to your specific body, because we're all different. But there are normal ranges for everything, for calcium in your body, for magnesium, for your multivitamins and all those different vitamins. So just please, just be cautious, because then when you start looking at your hair and your hair is brittle, you go, oh, what happened? Well, you're what happened. You did it to yourself. in a lot of cases, so just be careful. So Breast Cancer Awareness Month is a good thing. Yes, there are other cancers, absolutely, but the focus is to get people to cut their risk factors, to eat better, to exercise, to get those exams. And if you need to get a genetic study based on not knowing that one of your relatives passed away from cancer and you don't know the type and you're concerned, go and get those genetic studies done. And a lot of insurances are covering those now. So thank you for the magnesium. And there's oxide, there's citrate,
Glycinate.
glycinate, and others. And it depends on what you need it for, and that will help you very much. I appreciate it. And you. all
And
of you.
now,
Just to,
go ahead, you can applaud.
yeah. Just to reiterate, I live in Hernando off of 41 and 200. Every time a business opens, I show up. So this week, I met Adam, and he's at the Sandwich Den, I believe is the name of it. It's right near Burger Station. And I said, I'm not soliciting, I have a gift for you. And he was very attentive, and he's only been in this county for a year. So I was able to give him a lot of information, showed him what this looked like. I call it the plunger, and it's a nasal spray. You find someone that has a heartbeat, but they are not breathing. That could be a sign that they have, in fact, overdosed. So you're covered. Even businesses and individuals are covered. You cannot be sued for using it. And I've been around when someone had to use it on someone that was less than the prescribed 18 years, and there were no repercussions from a suit or anything, and that person made it. You find them in that condition, you call 911 first. Then you take one of these sprayers out and you put it in one of their nostrils and you disperse it. You're thinking 3 minutes is a long time. But if they don't revive in 3 minutes, you take the second one in that same box and you put it in the other nostril. All the while you're thinking, oh my goodness, I only had 2 and they're not waking up. There's a second box. So you're able to continue to repeatedly give it until help arrives. When the paramedic or first responder does arrive, please identify yourself. I was at an accident scene this past month, and the paramedics came and we had formed a chain because a car had gone down in the ravine, and we were all concerned about tumbling in. And so I shouted loudly so they could hear me. I'm BJ Ezel, I'm a registered nurse. So when the paramedics came, they said, who's our contact here? And they did this. So just to keep things running smoothly, it's a wonderful county to live in. We help each other to be healthy. So continue to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some in the corner. I only have 5 today. I'm running low.
And when BJ says to do it, let's try it again. When BJ says to do it, okay. Couple of other, what happened to Nora?
She got a phone call.
Oh,
Must have been important because she went out and answered it. You want to go find her?
must have been. Well, I just wanted to say that we have 2 members who are not on the board, but are helping us. And I'll talk about Leslie. Maybe she'll come back in. Leslie's doing flyers for us, for the website, for the newsletter. And you can just tell Nora that I was talking about her while she was gone. In the back of the room on that table, you'll see a scrapbook. I started a scrapbook for the club, and Nora's going to take it over, and it'll tell you all the things that we've been doing for the past year and a half.
It's really, really good. Very nice. You know, you have organizations and you don't have your history because maybe it's electronic and people want to they just want to feel.
Yeah, I like a book. And Jan did the flyers for the scrapbook. Can we give Jan, oh, she's going to hate this. Give Jan a round of applause, please. Oh, she hates when I do that. That's why I love to do it. Please, I'm glad that you folks are here. Please do something. Write to one of our legislators, call them, send letters. Don't just do it once, do it over and over, because we're going to need everybody's help to try to change things around from the way they're going right now. So we work together as a community and we get things done. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.